Hello, my Aloha tribe, and welcome to the Aloha Perspective. Happy Thursday. Oh my God, how could I forget what today was? Happy Thursday, happy Friday Eve, whatever you want to call it. Welcome to the almost weekend. Anyways, let's get rolling. We got the affirmators deck to start with, and then we are on self-love lesson number 9. So, solidarity. I respect the power of solidarity and look for opportunities to unleash it. When a loved one has to do something tough, I'll heed their often silent, but sometimes loud and whiny call and participate in the toughness with them. Everything is easier when a partner, cohort, sidekick joins you. The only thing that's not easier is feeling resentment, which I suppose is the overall point, right? So solidarity. I like this card to start us off in the self-love. And one of the reasons I like this card to start us off in the self-love is because a lot of times we forget to reach out, right? We're struggling. We're feeling like we can do it on our own. Good morning, baby sibling. We're feeling like we can do it on our own. We're feeling like I don't need anybody. But solidarity is about leaning on people. It's about, having that person that you can call and say, hey, you know what? I really need to bounce some things off of you, or would you just sit on the phone with me, or whatever the comfort is. So let's go through this again. I respect the power of solidarity and look for opportunities to unleash it. When a loved one has to do something tough, I'll heed their often silent, but sometimes loud and whiny call and participate in the toughness with them. Everything, and everything is italicized, is easier when a partner, cohort, or sidekick joins you. The only thing that's not easier is feeling resentment, which I suppose is the overall point. And a lot of times that's why we have to stand in solidarity with one another, because a lot of times pain, grief, whatever, trauma, a lot of it can cause resentment. And sometimes that resentment can lead to guilt. Sometimes that resentment can lead to just anger and pain, which can lead to sadness and all these other things that you really don't want to experience, right? So when we take that opportunity to really kind of reach out and find that solidarity with someone, to reach out and say, hey, you know what? Excuse me, I could use some help right now. Please be there for me. That's a good thing. All right. So if you are struggling, don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you trust. Don't be afraid to reach out to someone that you care about, or, if they need you, or vice versa. A lot of times we want to be there for somebody, but then when we need somebody, we're afraid to reach out, and maybe it's because a lot of times we feel like we're the rock, right? But sometimes even the rock needs somebody to lean on. So, if you feel like you're the person that needs that, don't be afraid to reach out, because the people that you are helping want to help you as well. All right. So let's get to self-love lesson number 9. All right, let's do this. What's something in your life that you need to get rid of? What is something in your life you need to get rid of? I'm going to give you a second to think about that while I untangle everything here. I'm sewing. So, okay, what is something you need to get rid of in your life? So while you're thinking about that, I just want to reiterate one more time, because it's really pounding in my head. Like I said, usually we struggle, just circling back really quick to the card. A lot of times when we're the ones that, are kind of the rock for people. Something's telling me that somebody needs to hear this. That's why I'm repeating it, that it's okay to also be the person that needs to lean on someone. You don't always have to be the rock. Okay. It's okay. It's truly, truly okay, because you deserve the same thing, right? You would tell anybody else that. So live by your words. So, all right, self-love lesson number 9. What's something in your life that you need to get rid of? So I was thinking all different things, right? I need to get rid of clutter. I need to get rid of this, that, or the other, because the clutter is kind of how my brain feels. It's very, very chaotic. And part of the problem is that when you have clutter, it's hard to go through it, because when you have indignant mental health. And even if you don't realize you do, or maybe it's just because it feels so overwhelming, that's exactly it. You look at it and you're like, oh my God, I can't handle this. And you walk away. And a lot of times that's where clutter comes from, or because you're holding on to memories, you're holding on to things. But the best memories you can hold on to are the ones in here. I mean, if there's certain things that you feel like, yeah, okay, I probably don't need that. You keep the important things. Even put them in a box. If you've lost somebody, I found that this was a very interesting tool that I learned in my grief process. And it was something I think my therapist taught me, or I ran it by her and she thought that's a great idea. But I remember one of the two of us came up with it. I want to say it was me, but I saw it somewhere. And it's you get a box. I mean, like a good size box or a shoe box, whatever kind of box. You can decorate the top of the person that maybe you're missing. And this is, I don't want to say to do this if you've broken up with somebody, because that might be hard for you to let go. But I mean, if this is someone that's passed away, someone that you cared about, you loved, and you're struggling with their being gone, you make a box. You can decorate it any way you want, but you put little mementos inside that remind you of them, so that when you're missing them, you can go through it. You can write a letter, or maybe if you write a letter because maybe you're feeling like, I really want to talk to this person right now, but they're not here, you could put the letter in there and maybe read it later. It's up to you. But and then just kind of shelve it until you're ready to look at it again. And I'm not sure how much easier that makes it, but it definitely solidifies the fact that you're helping yourself move on. But you're also keeping this tiny little, thing of just mementos that bring back memories and whatnot. And sometimes it might bring up hard things. But I heard it is actually a very effective tool. And I have a box that I got from my mom. But I was so deep into my grief for so many years that I haven't really worked on it. So, and in fact, I'm not even sure what I did with the box. I may have thrown it away. So for me, I think, because the anniversary of my mom's passing is coming up a week from Monday. So I think what I want to do is kind of do that in honor of her, because it'll be 8 years this year that she's been gone. And it's hard to believe it's been 8 years, but it's something that I think I need to do now that I've worked through all of that. And I've kind of removed the guilt of being happy and all this other stuff from, her passing. But a lot of times that's what clutter is. So I thought, wow, that's my first answer. But then I thought, that's kind of a generic answer. Okay, I mean, it really is kind of a generic answer, because I already know that that's my problem. And that's always been kind of my answer. I got to get rid of the clutter. But I would have to say that when it comes to self-love, what's something in your life that you need to get rid of? And for me, I asked myself the why. And when I asked myself the why, this is the answer that really came up. I had to ask myself 3 times what my why was. And my why just felt empty. So I thought, okay, well, it just doesn't feel like that's the answer, that clutter is the answer, because I know I got to get rid of it. I don't like it. I certainly don't like, keeping things that I don't need, or adding to things that I don't need. So I went deeper. And by the time I asked the 4th time what my why was, I came up with this: ridding myself of negative thought patterns. Ridding myself of negative thought patterns. Because in the long run, that is going to be the foundation of, getting rid of things. Because you feel like you have to hold on to things, because it's like, well, if I let that go, this person may have given it to me. This person may, I mean, I have to tell you, my mother gave me so many shot glasses, because I used to collect shot glasses from, people when they'd go all over, or if I went somewhere, and it just felt like a fun thing to do. But it's a lot, because most people just collect shot glasses from where they've gone. People would bring them back for me. And then I realized that's when I leaned into my true hobby, which is pens and paper. I love pens and paper. So people bring me pens now. and I absolutely love it. They will bring me pens from wherever their travels take them, and some of them are just so unique and so special and fun that, you know, it's awesome. It's awesome. But but the problem is that, you know, the shot glasses got pretty plentiful. So I had to start thinking, well, do I need all these? And so I kept the most important ones and I got rid of a lot of them. And I still have a lot. I mean, older sibling bought me a case for them, but I realized that a lot of that was negative thought patterns. You know, like, well, if I let this go, I feel like I'm letting a piece of my mom go. It's like, no, I'm not letting a piece of my mom go. My mom's tucked firmly in here, in my heart. I'm trying not to hit the mic, so, you know, wherever my heart is, in here somewhere. In here. So I have her tucked firmly in there. And I think, you know, a lot of times for me, I think too far ahead and think, well, I have to keep this because what if I start to lose my mind later down the road? And I thought, well, if I lose my mind, I'm not going to remember shit anyway. So, and I'm really truly hoping that doesn't happen. And yes, trust me, I'm not trying to make light of that because I've known people that have gone through this, who have, you know, I know people who are going through that. But I thought, I need to do what's best for me. And by removing the negative thought patterns, that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm doing what's best for me. I'm doing what's best to help me move on. You know, I mean, I can take a special shot glass and have a drink, you know, take a shot for my mom, you know, and which I've done. I usually get a shot of either Tullamore Dew or Jameson, and then I'll follow it up with a Guinness, which is hilarious because my mom was not Irish. She was Filipino. But I know, the Hawaiian Filipino. So, I mean, she wasn't Hawaiian. She was just born in Hawaii. My dad's actually the one with the Hawaiian blood. But I think she would appreciate the fact that I was toasting her from one of my nationalities that I really kind of lean into. And I have for years and years and years. So, and she knew that. But I think whatever you choose that you feel you need to get rid of, I think getting rid of is a pretty strong phrase. Because if it's something superficial, that, you know, like just natural clutter, then it's like, yeah, just get rid of it, throw it out, you don't need it. It's not filling a hole in you, it's just filling a space in your house. Self-love is what fills that hole in you. But if it's stuff that you want to get rid of because you think it's going to help you heal, again, it's not going to fill that void. Self-love fills that void. So, you know, maybe if you struggle with, well, if I say getting rid of that, it sounds so permanent. It sounds so mean. So just say, I'm releasing it. I'm releasing it back into the wild, right? And you know, you don't even have to throw things away. Donate it. You can donate it to your local secondhand shop. You can donate it to, if you're in the United States. I don't know about other countries, so I'm just saying in this country we have veterans pickups for their secondhand shops, and that's how they make money to support the veterans. That's usually how I give to. And you know, these are people that can find joy in things that you have. And I've even talked about this, how a lot of the jewelry that I make is found from pieces that I found in secondhand stores. You know, pre-loved items that I turn into, I breathe new life into them. You know, older sibling liked a pair of earrings I was wearing the other day, and I'm gonna see if I can find them in here. It was these two right here, and this isn't this is more of a show and tell, but the pieces on the top, these two right here, they came off of a necklace, you know, and it was one that I saw, and then when my cousins came up here to visit again, we went back and it was still there, and I thought, you know, I can do something with that. I can turn that into something, and I can turn it into something pretty fantastic. So, good morning, Kate. So, happy September. All I can think of is it Earth, Wind, and Fire that sang the song September? I know. I love that. She's going to get go. I'm putting the earworm in her ear. So again, self-love lesson number 9. What's something in your life that you need to get rid of? Think hard and long about it. Like I said, don't just let it be the first answer off your head. Like, oh, I need to get rid of all this shit in this room. Ask yourself why. Is it not bringing you joy? Okay, right? Like, what's that lady's name? Marie Kondo. If it's not bringing you joy, get rid of it. But for me, like I said, it's about negative thought patterns, because negative thought patterns are what lead to a lot of the choices and behaviors that we do lean into because they're comfortable. I mean, the best saying to me right now is get comfortable being uncomfortable. Get comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's when we find the truth in what we're feeling. That's where we find the healing in what we're feeling. Right? It's where we realize how to fill in those voids and how to fill in, that those holes that might be, those emotional holes that might be inside of us. You cannot fill those emotional holes with substances, food, shopping, all that stuff. You have to fill it with your self-love. All that other stuff, like that, like if you emotionally shop, or you're trying to fill that void by making other people happy, think about it. How many times have you reached out and you're trying to make other people happy, but your happiness is brief? Because it's your happiness to make other people happy, and it brings you joy, but they're the ones that are going to get more out of it than you are. You cannot serve or give or, support from an empty cup. And the only way to fill that cup is with your self-love, with your self-worth, your self-respect. Bringing joy into your life, not just by doing things for other people, but by also doing things for yourself, by showing yourself, hey, I'm just as important as the people I'm trying to make smile. I'm just as important as the people that I love so much that I want to see happy. And that's the whole point of self-love. For me, it's to get rid of the negative beliefs. It's to get rid of the negative thought patterns. It's the first of the month. It's a new month. We're heading again into the end of the year, into the next year. And now is the time that it's really, really good to start setting some of these habits, so that, when you hit 2023, you're going to hit the ground running, feeling all that self-love for yourself and giving from a full cup. So that way, when you make somebody happy, it overflows your cup. It's not just filling it. It's not just giving you that temporary, feeling of euphoria that will go away once you leave that person's presence, once you stop seeing how happy they are. I mean, have you ever done something so wonderful for somebody and you kind of did it like, oh, I feel like crap and I think I'm going to go do something. I feel so empty. And I don't mean like you're having a bad day, because some people have a bad day, but they're full of self-love. And it's like, okay, well, tomorrow will be another day. But if you have a dinged up mental health, and I've had a lot of these issues, I've had a lot of these moments where it's like, oh, that felt really good to do something for so-and-so. But then I would get home and that emptiness would set back in, because I wasn't serving from a full cup. I'm not sure I am now, but I'm pretty close. My cup is filling up, because I'm starting to realize that, it's okay to love myself. I don't have to be embarrassed about it. Remember at the beginning when we talked about this, when we were setting the foundation of self-love before we started the lessons. Self-love is a desirable characteristic, not a narcissistic characteristic. Okay? All right. It's a desirable trait, not a narcissistic characteristic. Okay, you're not wandering around going, love me, because I'm amazing, girl, I'm hot, I'm this, I'm that. No, what you're trying to do is feel good about yourself without needing validation from other people. You're learning how to fill your own cup, how to bring joy to your life, so that when you do start to feel like you're kind of taking a step back in the wrong direction, that it's going to be okay. And that was hard. There were a lot of days, especially in the last couple of years, where when I could feel myself taking a step back, I was afraid that I wouldn't be able to step forward again. But as I grew this healing in my mind, as I grew this understanding of what self-love is, And as I'm doing this again for the third time and really kind of getting more out of it than I ever have before, it's because I realize I'm being honest with myself. I'm being truthful with myself. And I'm being so brutally honest. I'm not letting myself off the hook with easy answers, because I know that that's what I need to really kind of fill my cup, to really kind of fill, these voids that I've created in my life. When we lose people and we miss them terribly, it's hard, and it feels like it leaves a void. It does. Grief is something that when you love somebody that you have lost to death, that pain generally never goes away, but you do learn to live with it. You learn the workarounds, right? You learn that when one memory makes you laugh, it might also make you cry the next time you have it. But to just keep going and to not shame the memory. Let the memory come as it is. Deal with the emotion as you have to deal with it. And that's okay. And the people in your life who truly mean something to you and who you mean something to, they'll be there for you. They'll understand. They'll help you take that moment. That's why that solidarity card was so perfect. Because even if it isn't a pattern of grief that's associated with death, maybe you've lost a job, maybe you've lost a partner, maybe you've just decided to go in a whole different direction, maybe you're letting go of your past. Believe it or not, we can grieve for the past. I had trauma, and I actually had to grieve that part of my life. That's the only way I could heal it, was to say, hey, you know what? Maybe things didn't turn out the way I thought they would. Maybe things didn't turn out the way I hoped they would. And I grieved that process. And when I came out the other end, I realized, it was like breaking up with somebody, except I was breaking it up with my old self. And I struggled for a long time to say, no, that person, that old person, they're not dead. But I have to be honest with you. I don't think everybody goes through this. But for me, I had to put that person away. Because the self-sabotaging, the self-destructive behavior, the spiraling all the time because of my dinged up mental health, it was getting me nowhere. And I hate to use this term, but I basically had to let that old persona die. And I struggled with that because I thought, why? Why do I have to? But I kind of looked at it in the way of like a phoenix. A phoenix dies, and then it rises from the ashes. And yeah, it's pretty cliche. A lot of people use that nowadays. But you know what? It's exactly what it feels like. And it's not always easy, because you don't just rise up and say, okay, I'm a whole different person. You have to start building from the bottom. You have to go through that growing process again. And I feel like that's why this time the self-love lessons are helping me. Because this time I'm being honest. I'm not just giving the answer right off the top of my head, like, oh yeah, I need to throw that away because it just takes up space in my house. No. What led to that? What led to me collecting all these things I don't need and saying, okay, what is the foundation of this? And it all comes down to negative thought patterns. I was filling a hole with stuff. I was filling a void with food. I was filling a void with things. And in the long run, I stigmatized myself, especially with the food. I mean, I did a reading the other day for a group that I belong to, and I love the fact that the snacks card came up. And it was great because it was like, stop stigmatizing food. Okay? Now, when I say that, my therapist, I told you guys, for those of you that pop on pretty regularly, I mentioned that my therapist banned me from dieting. Now, I don't see her anymore right now because we both agreed that I graduated from that particular part of my life. And there were a lot of things I had to learn on my own. But that's one thing I still stick with. That's one thing that I still truly, truly believe that she was spot on about, because all that did was shame me. And it also made me stigmatize food. And I've noticed that when I feed a craving, I don't go back until I maybe have that craving again, but I really try to assess that craving. It's like, is it a craving or is it an emotional craving? Am I trying to fill a void, or is it just something that sounds like it would taste good today? And that's a process I have to go through now because I am a recovering emotional eater. But letting go of the dieting was the best thing that ever happened for me. And I'm sure there are going to be snarky people out there that say, yeah, well, you could really use a diet. But you know what? That's okay. Because up here, I'm so much better. I'm so much better in my head. And I'm learning slowly how to not stigmatize food anymore, how to not shame myself if I decide, well, I'm going to go out and have this today. Because you only get to, I don't like the term, you only live once. Okay? I lean more into, you only die once. All right? Unless you believe in reincarnation, which I do. But in this life, you only die once. And technically, I've already done that. When I had my heart surgery, I was on life support because they had to work on my heart, right? One of the major organs to keep you alive. But I figure, if you do struggle with food and there are still things you want, use portion control. If you go to a restaurant, don't be ashamed to say, hey, when your food comes, don't be ashamed to say, can I get a box, please? Don't worry about what other people think. What other people think of you is none of your business. Truly, what other people think of you is none of your business. Just split it in half. Take the rest of it home. Don't worry about what other people think. Or if you're having one of those things where you feel like you're celebrating and you feel like you can handle it, go for it. Do whatever you want, but don't stigmatize food. All right? Don't stigmatize the things that, maybe you're a collector of things. Don't sit there and think, oh, well, am I just filling a void? No, you're probably collecting something that you really, really, really enjoy. Filling your life with emotional shopping and filling that void with stuff that you don't need is when you get up in the middle of the night and you buy a bunch of random shit that you don't need, but it just feels good to buy something. That's the same as food, right? You're filling a void because it's like you're lonely or you're sad or you're overthinking or you're tired or you don't know what else to do in the middle of the night. So you're like, yeah, I'm going to do all this. Sit down and journal, But I mean, when you're buying stuff that you collect, that's different. Because you're buying things that bring you joy. You're not buying some random flashlight in the middle of the night because it looked cool on TV. Unless you actually need one. But you know what I mean. You know what I mean. So, again, for me, it's negative thought patterns. And I'm also learning how to journal that out when I have a negative thought pattern. Because, when I hit my next birthday, I was thinking about this last night, and I had the best saying last night, but I was too lazy to get out of bed about how, about the second half of my life. And, oh man, I can't remember it. If I remember it again, I'll write it down and share it tomorrow. But it was basically saying that, I worked so hard to basically heal myself in this first part of my life, that as I head into the second half of my life, I really just want to enjoy it. It's like I let go so I can let everything else in, all the good stuff. And that's what I want for everyone. I want you to be able to shine your light, to be that torchbearer, amongst the people or to other people that don't know you. And that's what I've chosen to do. I really want to be a torchbearer. I want to be a person that leads people out of the darkness and into the light, that awakens people to their true potential, to who they are inside, and to learn how to love yourselves. And that's why, before we did the self-love lessons, we built that foundation. And now, as we do the 30 lessons of self-love, we're building that house of self-love for ourselves to really kind of snuggle our little hearts in, right? Let our little heart, you imagine your little heart sitting around the fireplace, with, around the hearth, right? With the little blanket over its shoulders, drinking a cup of tea or coffee or whatever, maybe having a drink, period, a pint. But my point is that's what the goal of self-love is. to be able to fill our cups from our own joy and our own happiness. So again, self-love lesson number 9. What's something in your life that you can get rid of? And ask yourself why, and make sure that that is your answer. Okay? And who knows? You may come up with something later down the road, and that's okay. That doesn't mean your first answer is wrong. It just means you're learning more about yourself, and you're really kind of zeroing in on what it is that brings you joy, that brings you happiness, that fills your cup from your own personal experiences. Okay, so I hope everybody has a wonderful, wonderful day today. I'll be back here tomorrow for Oracle Friday. Self-love lesson number 10 will be back on Monday. And, Monday's a holiday here in the United States. Well, I'm still going to do it anyway. So anyways, I don't want to mess up the flow. So, thank you for popping on, Catherine. I appreciate it. So again, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time tomorrow. Tomorrow is Oracle Friday. If you have questions that you want answered, put them out there. We'll see what happens. Maybe I'll get your answer for you. Maybe not. We'll go over the guidelines tomorrow. But again, tomorrow's Oracle Friday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time under Shelly Marie Lucas on Facebook Live. It's public. Anybody can join me. Or you can check out the replay after I upload it to YouTube under the Aloha Perspective with Shelly Marie Lucas. Or I have a Facebook group or a Facebook page for the Aloha Perspective, and you can click and join there as well and see the replay on there as well. So again, have a great, great day, everybody. Have happy Friday Eve. A lot of people might be off tomorrow, so if you're off and running, please travel safely and have a wonderful and safe weekend. Have a great day.